In the same way that one quickly begins to recognize patterns in one true crime case, one can also see patterns in accidental death.
That's what turns me on about you. Your attention to detail.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear thoughts build up until I can't feel. My mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear.
Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the most authentic voice in true crime. In the J. SLATER case, we had real foul play in the sense of fake information that was deliberately inserted into a high-profile investigation, which undermined the actual investigation. Now, I understand if some people feel offended.
Wouldn't want somebody tracing my steps, pointing out all the mistakes I was making.
But there really was real foul play in the J. SLATER case, and this included disinformation. This included fake ransom demands, fake Instagram activity, fake sightings, fake GoFundMes, and ultimately fake funeral live stream claims. All of that was foul play. All of that was disinformation. All of that was disingenuous. Who really cared about that? Did you? I did. And look at what happened in Southport. The same thing. Disinformation. Fake information that people acted upon, and look at what happened to society. To reiterate, in the actual Rudy Cabana case, we've seen precisely the same disinformation. Disinformation about who he was, disinformation about where he came from, disinformation about him being investigated by MI6. Now that that has been confirmed and the source of that information identified, who cares about the disinformation? I'm guessing even after foul play has been identified, the dishonesty, it simply disappears in comparison to how some feel about immigration. In other words, feelings trump facts, beliefs trump evidence. Also, large groups of people told them simply what they, wanted to believe, right? They believed this disinformation because someone influential simply told them something and they accepted it without evidence. These groups belong to a group who like to be told repeatedly what they wanted to hear. And they want to hear how things are a lot worse than they are, how things are shocking, how there is some scary conspiracy going on, and how simple and obvious it is that someone is taking advantage of us. That person wouldn't be the influencer though, would it? Another similarity between J. SLATER and Southport was how the so-called truth was a matter of whose side you were on. A lot of people told me I wasn't British or from Tenerife, so I wouldn't understand. So justice and truth and evidence suddenly fades away, and it becomes all about being part of a group, and someone else is to blame. It's a very interesting similarity between J. SLATER and Southport, and how the so-called truth was a matter of the British against some other race. And one really got a sense of, just as in the Madeleine McCann case, how the British cops are innately superior to other cops. Are they? I mean, have British investigators found Madeleine? After British taxpayers have spent £13 million on paying the Met to search for her over the past 17 years, have they found her? And I mean, if that seems exorbitant, the money that went into the Netflix documentary, The Disappearance of Madeleine McCann, was nearly double the total amount of money spent on actually searching for Madeleine for the past 17 years. Did you know that the Netflix documentary cost £20 million? And if you think that's a guess or an extraordinary claim, I do have a source for it. Anyone know who funded that documentary, which amounts to really expensive McCann apologia? You might say it's a really intelligent documentary. It's not. It's skewed into a particular scenario that basically supports the McCann's innocence. It's apologia. As such, is it really worth a lot? What I'm trying to show you guys is that we've seen, not only in the J. SLATER case, not only in Southport, but in so many other cases, we see a three-tiered pattern of disinformation. That's the first level. Partisan or nationalistic responses. That's the second level. And then the third level, doubling down. No matter what evidence is shown, we're going to still stick to our guns no matter what, right? We saw it in the J. SLATER case. It's what happened in the aftermath to the Southport incident. Same thing, disinformation, a partisan or nationalistic response, and then doubling down. And can't we draw the same inference in the Madeleine McCann case? Think about it. Disinformation, a partisan response, and then doubling down. In the Madeleine McCann case, it's also blame someone on the outside, some non-British person, currently it's a German, and there's no chance, none, that a British person could be involved, could there? Another thing I want to talk about is the British media. In the Southport incident, they did everyone the service of simply not reporting on Axel Rudakabana for about a week, and that sort of embargo is ongoing. And that did a lot of good. Just not even talking about it did a lot of good, because it allowed a tide of righteous indignation and rising hatred to start turning back to sensibility, which is what's happened. But the British mainstream media coverage of J. SLATER, which is still very fresh in my mind, and also the Madeleine McCann case, that coverage, which I've followed for some years, can I call a spade a spade? It leaves a lot to be desired, to put it mildly. I mean, the American media are partisan, but way, way less partisan, certainly in my opinion, than the British media. Now consider the following. The Daily Telegraph in April 2008 described Madeleine's disappearance as the most heavily reported missing person case in modern history. But that didn't seem to do anything to help the case. And according to more than one source in that case, if anything, it didn't help. Same in the J. SLATER case. Did all of the reporting, all the news media actually help the case, or did it hinder the case? Same goes for the opening stages of the Southport incident. In the Madeleine McCann case, Portuguese police felt that they were being condescended to and that the British were acting as a colonial power. And so we saw the same trifecta there. Disinformation, partisan or nationalistic response, and then doubling down. We saw the same thing play out in the Nora Corrin case. This time it was the Malaysian authorities who were criticized. We saw the same formula applied in the Amanda Knox case. Disinformation, partisan or nationalistic. This time we don't really agree with the Italians, and then doubling down again. So in the Amanda Knox case, it was a British victim, but then the American was basically saying that you can't really compare the Italian justice system to American courts. It's sort of subordinate to that. Now, if you feel in this video that you've been condescended to or lectured, it's not a nice feeling, is it? But this is just a video. Imagine the stress, the tension, the unnecessary pressure of trying to do your job while being criticized and lectured and undermined on a daily basis by foreign media. That is what the authorities in Tenerife experienced. What they are doing is ostensibly they're trying to help one of the citizens of your country, right? In the Madeleine McCann case, 17 years have passed since Madeleine disappeared. 17 years later, has this attitude to others changed? If it has it changed for the better or for the worse? What do you guys think? Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.